Section 194 chairperson Richard Dyantyi has confirmed the Parliamentary Ethics Committee has alerted him of the extortion complaint levelled by Mkhwebane. He says he will subject himself to the process. Dyantyi says he will only respond to the recusal application once it's filed officially.
My status as the attorney of record, so if I refer to myself, I simultaneously also refer to the State Attorney Pretoria or the State Attorney as such, that the State Attorney's status as the legal representative of Advocate Mkhwebane is actually in dispute, in that she has raised in our correspondence and communication that in as far as she is concerned, and by the way the matter has been developing, I cannot, or the State Attorney cannot be the attorney of record, as he stated that the State Attorney is conflicted in the matter. And therefore, when the State Attorney is conflicted, they cannot profess to be acting on her behalf.
Listening in on that is Dr Piet Croucamp, a political analyst who is standing by to weigh in on the integrity of the inquiry. Thank you very much for your time this afternoon. Given that we have never been here before, perhaps let's start with your observation and reflection of this process as we have seen it play itself out over the past couple of months.
Look, I think we just have to focus on where it is now, because that explains much of the past as well. It's as if there's a degree of chaos here. And I'm not sure it benefits anybody, neither the legislature, nor South Africa, nor the public protector, Mr. Mkhwebane, or Advocate Mkhwebane. And I think if we just ask ourselves the question, does he have a case, for instance, in arguing that she's not getting a fair hearing and that she deserves to have sufficient funds to defend herself? I think those things make sense. This is a very, very serious case. We have never removed a public protector before. We never had a process like this before, and we should and we have to get it right. And I think she's got a case. Parliament must get their act together. I don't know what is a good argument for the chairperson of the committee to remain in his seat. I honestly think the accusations, the insinuations, the suggestions that there might have happened something that could impact the outcome of this case is serious enough that he should actually step aside and allow somebody else to go on with this committee. It's not as if it's just some loose accusation. The Hawks are on the case. Evidence has been provided to the Hawks. I'm not saying at all that there is any substance to the allegations, but I think the importance of getting this right, the importance of doing justice to this case, the importance of being fair to Advocate Mkhwebane requires that we remove the chairperson of this committee and that we allow her to get the funding to defend herself. We dare not end this case. And all these things are in dispute, and I don't think it's being handled correctly.
Okay, so we are yet to hear from from Advocate Mkhwebane, who made it known that today she will be releasing those voice notes, the evidence in a nutshell. But you spoke of having to question the fairness of this process. She's also mentioned before, and her argument is that the person who complained about her husband sits on this committee that must determine her future and determine whether she's fit for purpose or not. The chairperson of the committee is also accused of not being fair towards her and obviously enjoying of being part of the majority party, which is allegedly gunning for her. And so what does this say about the integrity of this process? As you say, it must be gotten right for future purposes.
I think it's a good question. The integrity of this process, they will have to sanitize it by doing the right thing. And I'm not sure if she today put this information out in public, whether that will in some other way impede the Hawks of doing their job according to a proper process, it could have severe consequences, I think, if this comes into public. But that's for a lawyer to decide. But I think the question that she asked, whether there is a vested interest in removing her now, it is not a matter of her not doing her job. In fact, it's almost not the question now. There are other issues that are much more important now. And it relates to the process that we have to get it right. She must get the funding to defend herself properly. And the process must allow for fairness. And I think it's time that the ANC step in, that they remove the chairperson of this committee. I know there's the argument that the public protector, or Advocate Mkhwebane, seeks to prolong the process until her term has expired, which will then almost make the case obsolete to a certain degree, because the process is to remove her and she will not be in that position anymore. I know that's all true, but that doesn't mean that we should in some other way allow a process which is not fair to her and which does not allow her to defend herself properly.
What of the Office of the Public Protector, which in a nutshell says, well, it's being bled dry and therefore cannot continue to support her legally, at least?
It's one of those conundrums. If you don't have the money, I guess you can't pay. But we have an obligation in this case. I think it must be possible to, in some other way, find the money from other sources. It's easy to say we don't have the money. I just think that if you weigh up the matters, what is more important here? The fact that we run out of money and we can't pay for justice and we just let it go. Or that we actually get this case to be followed through to the full consequences of the process, and that we have justice here, and that everybody walks away and says it was a fair process. If they removed her, it was according to a fair process. If she's found not guilty, it was according to a process which allowed herself to defend her, and Parliament and this committee has done its work appropriately. Process and procedure is of utmost importance here. We cannot in some other way allow events to unfold in a way which eventually doubt the integrity of the process according to which she was removed, or our efforts to remove her, or the efforts of the Parliament or the ANC or whoever wants to remove her. We cannot leave any doubt about that process.
Thank you very much to Dr. Piet Croucamp, a political analyst.